This is episode 587. And today we're going to be talking about overcoming challenges, actually a checklist that you can use when you're faced with some challenges that might have you frozen in your tracks. You know, we all experience challenges at one time or another, regardless of how well we plan and or how well we just spontaneously move. Challenges are going to come up. They're going to be there. And again, I'm really using the word challenges instead of problems because problems can connotate a negative feeling, where challenges, depending on your competitive nature, will bring the best out of you. But depending on the intensity of the challenge, we can lose or keep our control. We can either lose it and just not know where we're going, or we can be cool, calm, collective, and start to look at the challenge from a high level and then chunk it down. And when it comes like this, it's really great to have a checklist to refer back to and ensure a successful transition from the challenge, a successful action to move around, get over, dig under, whatever that might be, the challenge. And so here are a few tips that I have found helpful in my own personal life and with my clients. And so if you look at this as a checklist, a to-do list, when you're facing a challenge, and we can either fight, flight, or freeze. And if you're in the freeze mode or the flight mode, this checklist can help rebalance and recenter yourself so that you will address the challenge calm, cool, and collectively. So the first one, evaluate the challenge. When we evaluate a challenge, we want to take it from a big perspective. When we dig down into the depths of the challenge, we tend to micro focus, and that's all we see is this challenge. When we step back and take a bigger perspective on, it's really not that bad, it's not good, we can blow things out of proportion. And depending on your personality, you may even catastrophize challenges. Like, oh, I have a bill coming up. Oh my gosh, how am I going to pay this bill? I'm going to be thrown out in the streets. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be, right? And we can catastrophize this. But the challenge itself is, oh, okay, listen, here, there's money being requested, and the money that I have available right now is not there to meet it. What can I do? So you evaluate the challenge, right? It's often the challenges that we face aren't that big of a deal, but when we micro focus on it, they become bigger and bigger. It's like if you have a spot on your wall 20 feet away, it's a very tiny spot, but the closer you walk to the wall, the bigger that spot gets. The spot hasn't changed. Your relation to the spot has changed. So when we want to evaluate, we need to move away from the spot and move away from the challenge. It will shrink down and we'll be able to see it more in proportion. So expect the best outcome. When we go into a challenge, this is kind of the science of hope, right? Hope is expecting and knowing that the future will be better than the present. Then we know that we have the ability, we have the power to make that change, and then we come up with several paths to achieve that. So when we look at a challenge and we can expect the best outcome, our actions and our thinking go in line with creating that best outcome. If we think of the worst case scenario and just focus on that, our actions or lack thereof and our thoughts will support the worst case scenario. So when we're faced with a challenge, we want to evaluate it and then expect the best possible outcome. Then we want to believe in ourselves. Believe, trust, right? This is confidence is one of the C's of mental strength. And when you believe in yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean, or when you have confidence in yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're always going to be right. What that means is that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. Imagine facing every challenge, and no matter what the result, you'll be okay. You'll be able to handle it. You'll be fine. That's confidence and believing in yourself. So then you want to use positive, encouraging self talk. Self talk sometimes runs on autopilot, and we start going, how am I going to do this? Why me? We start catastrophizing. We play the pity party role. We do so many things that keep us stuck when we know that we want to start using positive, encouraging self talk. There's an app that I use called Insight Timer that has great affirmations on it. YouTube has great affirmations. If you're stuck even on what to say to yourself, you can do some audios on affirmations for self-talk, and you'll find some of those, and just start saying those to yourself on a regular basis. Remove negative thoughts. So I say remove. What that really means is don't, because when we want to remove something, we have to focus on it to remove, which gives it energy. So what we want to do is by using positive thoughts or neutral thoughts, our mind automatically removes the negative thoughts. But a lot of people understand the removal of negative thoughts. How you do it is by focusing on positive thoughts. So if you have some negative thoughts going on, you look outside, you look at the beautiful sky and go, wow, what a beautiful sky. So you don't use encouraging self-talk. You use positive, encouraging self-talk about the challenge, but to remove or negate negative thoughts, you just want to look at anything out there that is beautiful, that will take your focus away from that. So you're focusing on the beautiful sky as opposed to how do I remove these thoughts? It seems like it's the same thing, but one gives your negative thoughts energy and one just releases them to fly away. Look for the silver lining. Again, this is very similar to positive self-talk and expect the best outcome. But there is, in every cloud, there's a silver lining. These expressions have been around for years and years and years and years because they are true. And when we look for the silver lining, the good in the situation, we will find it. What we get what we look for. So when we start to look for the silver lining, things will show up. Maybe if you can't pay that bill, it'll be a sign. The silver lining is to create a budget. If you can't lose that weight, maybe the silver lining is to track your food. If you can't get a relationship, maybe the silver lining is that just to relax and be yourself. So there's always a silver lining in these challenges that we face. Avoid wasting time worrying and focus on solution. The Stoics used to wake up in the morning and determine what they wanted to get accomplished. And then they would mentally kind of rehearse, well, if this happens, I'll do this. If this happens, I'll do that. That's focusing on a solution. Worrying is basically, what if this happens? I don't know. What if this happens? So when we worry, we are mentally rehearsing a result that we don't want. And when we focus on a result we don't want, we tend to act in accordance with that, and we get a result that we don't want. But if we can start to focus on a solution and go, if this comes up, then, so it's the if then. If this happens, then I'll do this. If this happens, then I'll do that. That's focusing on the solution. And when we focus on a solution, we are empowered. We have taken back control. When we focus on worry, we're giving control to that challenge that's in our life. Remind yourself of previous challenges you've overcome. We all have had challenges we have overcome. Regardless if we think they were insignificant, guaranteed at that time they were not insignificant. Now looking back on them, we go, oh, that was no big deal. That was no big deal. But during that time, it was a big deal. And so remember those previous challenges that you've overcome, regardless of how small or great you think they were, and start making a list and going, wow, I found a solution for this. I found a solution for this. I found a solution for this. And you're going to start to see that you have faced maybe worse challenges than you have right now, and you've overcome them. If you need to, and this actually is an if, but I would also ask friends and family how they overcame a similar challenge. The difference is how they overcame it as opposed to asking them how you should overcome it. Because everybody has their own opinion and you're giving them power to overcome your challenge. If it doesn't work, you're going to blame them. But if you can ask friends and family their process on how they overcame a similar challenge, then you can balance that out with your personality, your thinking, whatever that might be, and they will set an example for you to follow. They don't give you the solution. You come up with a solution, but you come up with it based on how friends and family overcame similar challenges. There's a very distinct distinction here because, again, you need to come up with the solution, not family and friends. You can ask them an example and then you can extrapolate from that. But when you give them the power, then the solution is in their hands, not yours. Use readily available resources to research your obstacle. My gosh, the internet is so full of stuff. If you're lonely, how to not be, how to be in a happy relationship, right? You can do Google on all this and you will find so much information. And I'm not saying that all the information is correct, but when you start researching for the solution, you will start to come up with your own solution. If you start to search, why is this happening to me? You're focusing on the problem. So in addition to your previous challenges and friends and families, if you research your obstacle, your challenge, how to overcome this or whatever, however you want to phrase it, but you're searching for solutions, and all the solutions out there might not align with who you are, but the key is that there's solutions. So if one person can do it, all can do it. So once you find that somebody has overcome a very similar solution, if not a similar challenge or worse, that means that you can do it because they're no better than you and you're no better than them. We all have this. And so when you can find the resources, that just gives you that confidence and that boost. Find a mentor, coach, and study their methods for getting past challenges. So if you don't have friends and family, a mentor can help you. A coach, like myself, can actually work with you in creating for you to create those solutions. Often mentors, friends, family will give you advice and we take it and it doesn't work and we get mad at that friend or family or mentor. What we want to do is get how they handled it and then go to a coach and let the coach ask you the questions and see the reflections and see the patterns in your life, to basically hold a mirror up to you to see how often these challenges came up and then how to overcome them. So a coach can really help you tremendously in thinking your way out of these challenges and actually thinking your way to a solution. Then after all of this is done, you decide on a plan. Here's my plan of action, and you write it down. And I would say, back again to the science of hope, you want to come up with a plan A, plan B, plan C, as long as all those plans are headed towards the solution. A plan to stop and do nothing or retreat is not a plan for the solution. That is retreat, that's surrendering, that's being the victim. But when you decide on a plan of action or actions, you want to write them down and you do this one first. If something happens and it doesn't work, you do something else, you do something else. You keep writing plans down until you get that solution. That is important. So you've looked at your past, you've talked to friends, you've talked to a mentor, you got a coach. Great. Now you write down the plan of action and you start to decide, then you start to take action on it, and then you follow through with each step on your plan. You may have a checklist. Today I do this. Today I contact, a dating service. Today I start looking for a new job. Today I contact a recruiter. And then tomorrow, what do you do? And the next day, what do you do? The next day, you write down a step-by-step action plan and you use that as your checklist to move forward. Each one of those things you check off, you're getting closer to the solution. And this is where the coach can come in really helpful with you to verify that each step is headed in the right direction. Often we get caught up so much we can't tell the forest from the trees, but a coach can help you step back and identify those steps. Are those steps taking you in the right direction, or are they a distraction from the solution? If your plan doesn't work, right, adjust it and try again. I think I've used the example that, airplanes are off course more than they're on, but it's correct and continue, correct and continue. So if the plan doesn't work, you get the feedback, you learn from it, you try something else, and so forth until you get to the solution. But you have to be in this, you have to have the resilience, the grit, and the mental strength. You try a plan. If it doesn't work, you take the feedback, you try something else, try something else, try something else, try something. There is no giving up when you have challenges. There is only you keep going, you charging until you get that resolved. Learn from the positive and negative aspects of every outcome. So if something didn't work, that might be a negative aspect. Then you go, okay, if this doesn't work and I did this, then I'm going to try something else. And then if there's a part of it, oh, I did this and I got a positive feedback. So do more of the positive, look at what the negative outcomes gave you, and then flip it 180 degrees and do the opposite of those. And apply what you've learned to other challenges. Once you get one challenge accomplished, then you're going to have other challenges, and you can follow this checklist, the step-by-step system, in order for you to overcome any challenge in your life. So keep in mind that, how you handle the challenges is all on you. It's not what you find on Google. It's not your friends. It's not a coach. It's not a mentor. It's all on you. All of those are resources to help you handle the challenge. But handling the challenge, it's all on you. Take ownership. A warrior takes ownership of their challenges and the solutions. If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're correct. Henry Ford said that. If you think you can handle the challenge, if you think you can find a solution, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. You'll prove yourself right either way. So think that you can find a solution, and decide that nothing will stop you. Nothing. Whatever the challenge, big or small, nothing's going to stop you until you've overcome that challenge. Be persistent and consistent. As long as you don't stop, you will always find a solution to that challenge. So if you'd like to find the show notes for this podcast, the checklist actually, please visit warriormindcoach.com for this and other information. While you're there, you can find some other blog posts, some other podcasts, and a way to contact me. And since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.